What's up, everybody? Today we are talking about how to create a burning desire, because motivation won't be enough. We're going to go deep into some of the best motivation tips on the planet, things that we've used to create insane levels of success.
Hey everyone, in case we haven't met, my name is Rad Burmeister. I'm joined today by my brother Yanni Burmeister. We're the co-founders of Unity Gym and the co-creators of the UMS, the Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into superhumans. Now, if you want to know how we do that, you can grab one of our free blueprints, the Flexibility Blueprint, the Strength Blueprint, or the Nutrition Blueprint. There's a link in the description that you can find for yourself. And also, you want to jump over to our Facebook group, the UMS Movement Mastermind, where we record these podcasts live and you can ask us questions. It's a really great resource as well because you can post videos and we'll help you out with whatever you need. Now, today we're talking about creating a burning desire. Yesterday we introduced the health hierarchy of needs, which at the bottom we have motivation, then we have movement, then we have nutrition, then we have physique, and then right at the top at the pinnacle is mastery. So Yanni, you want to introduce what we're going to be talking about today?
Absolutely. The fact is, and this is a really hard thing for people to understand, and we say this in the best intentions, tribe. We're not trying to belittle anyone. We're not trying to be condescending. We're not, trying to discourage people. Quite the opposite, quite the contrary. But what you need to understand is that if what you're trying to achieve in life, and it may be, we talk very much related to health and fitness goals here, but it can be anything. Well, if what you're trying to achieve in life isn't the first thing you think about and the last thing you think about every single day, then you have not yet created a burning desire around that thing. And it's okay to be motivated. That's what we start with. We like to call the initial motivation, the little bit, is the spark that gets you started. But that needs to grow into what we refer to here as a burning desire. And what we want to talk about today is we want to drill down a little bit on how that happens. Because everything starts as a thought, and sometimes that sparks your motivation. And that's what most people use to get to the gym. They have a spark. It might be that they want to lose a few kilos, or it might be that they want to improve their confidence, or, remove some pain, fix some painful injury or dysfunction or compromise that's occurring in the body. That's the spark, but that's not going to keep you going. That's not going to get you through the days where you wake up in the morning and it's cold out and dark and you don't feel like getting out of bed, because we're all about our feelings all the time. And the feelings that you get need to guilt you so hard on those days into getting yourself out of bed, getting your ass out of bed. And, Rad and I experience those feelings all the time. We experience the feeling of not feeling like training or not feeling like doing the thing we know we need to do. But our burning desire overcomes that. And that's what gets us through. And we've come to the conclusion that without creating a burning desire, and this comes from years, decades of looking at why certain people achieve such high levels of success and why so many others fail. And we've really, really worked hard over the sort of 16, 17 years that we've been coaching people to come up with this health hierarchy of needs and to figure out, what is it? What is the difference? The key differences between someone who succeeds in their goals and someone who fails every time. And we really believe that this is the first step.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say we believe, I'd say we know.
Yeah.
It's I can tell you from experience, I can tell you all that for personally, I have the only times that I've ever felt real despair and real sadness and depression and those feelings of hopelessness, those feelings of just wanting to cry or give up or run away or whatever it is when I felt like I wasn't on path with my goals, like what Yanni was talking about, the spark that people have when you have a goal, that happens by default. That you don't choose to do that. That happens by your exposure to different things in the world. We all see certain things that immediately spark a desire for us. Something that a lot of people can relate to is you see a nice car go past, you see an ad for some clothes, for an iPad, you see an attractive person that you're attracted to, either of the opposite sex or same sex, whatever your preference is. These things, they just happen. You don't choose to do it. But turning that spark into a burning desire creates work and creates a plan. And without that, how many times have you had a spark to want something, but it fizzles out and you forget about it? But then the next time you see it, you realize how much you want it, and then it fizzles out, and you never get it. You never get close to it until one day you decide, I am going to get that thing. Yeah. And they're usually small things. For most people, like when I'm saying this stuff, it's usually something like the new iPad or something that is relatively easy to attain. If you just decide that you're going to save a little bit of money, or you're going to go out and get it on a payment plan or whatever it is. Something a little bit more challenging isn't that new car, and something even more challenging would be that new house. And they're all material things. Or we see the picture of the person with the abs and we say, I want that, but we don't follow through with it. And it's because you didn't turn the spark into a burning desire, which is what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, and there are different ways that this happens. For many, many people, unfortunately, it happens through adversity. They go to the doctor one day and get told that they've got something wrong with them. Their body is compromised, and if they don't make a change, if they don't find the will, the burning desire to go to the gym and exercise and eat healthy, then they're going to die. They're likely their life is going to get cut short or something like that. And the burning desire comes from, I think, a lot of different factors in that case. It comes from a sense of guilt. It comes from a sense of, okay, I can't let my family down. I can't, a lot of people don't say, oh, I'm going to do it for myself because they feel like their self-worth is there yet. But their burning desire starts to cultivate from a myriad of different factors. And I've seen that many times. People come in and they're 40 kilos overweight or 30 kilos overweight, or they're really, really sick with cardiovascular health or disease or something. And they say, I need to get in shape. And when you drill down on it, it's not even something they want to do. They don't even feel their self-worth is at that level, but they don't want to let someone else down. And that's certainly a way to create a burning desire.
Do you remember, because I didn't read this book, you were the one that read it. It's one of the many books that you've read that I haven't read, but you were talking to me years ago about the three reasons why anyone is motivated. Like everyone is motivated to do things for three reasons, and one of them was respect from other people. Do you remember what the other two were?
No.
I can't remember either. It's a shame. It's not going to work to try to give this example if we can't give what all three are. Anyway, so it doesn't matter then. We can't remember it. But, I can tell you for myself personally, what turned Yanni and me have always had quite different burning desires, which we've learned over almost 2 decades of doing business together, have been the backbone to our success, is that both of us come at what we do from a really different angle. My burning desire was always to be one of the greatest movers, on the planet. That was my desire. When I was a kid, I looked up to people like Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Jet Li and Van Damme. It was martial arts that I was more exposed to as a kid, and I reflect back now. The reason why is because when you went to the video store back in the VHS days, you could get martial arts movies. You couldn't get gymnastics movies. Probably would have been just as inspired by gymnastics. And I always wanted to achieve that level of greatness. It excited me. Yanni did movement training with me, but never with the same level of devotion and passion as I. But when we started in business, Yanni always had a much higher burning desire than I did to create a successful business. And through those two things coming together, we were able to create what we've created now. But so I can't speak for Yanni, and he'll give you his example with this. But for me, what turned my spark into a burning desire was fear of failure. It was when I'd recognized that I'd had a strong spark, maybe even a small flame, for a decade, 2 decades. I got it when I was 12 years old and Dad showed us Jackie Chan movies for the first time. But now I was 30, it was when I was 30, and I realized that I hadn't achieved even close to the level of success that I dreamed of as a child. And it really dawned on me that I was getting older, and I became very fearful of what was going to happen if I kept not realizing my potential and squandering my gifts and my desires.
Yeah. Yeah, look, absolutely. Now, before we continue, I can't continue and concentrate with you sitting so far away from the microphone. I don't think you understand that microphone, you're meant to talk into it, not
it's killing
sit,
you.
but it is. It's destroying me. Pull it out to your mouth, Joe Rogan style, and talk into that damn mic. Thank you.
Here we go.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Tribe. It's just I've spent all this money as the CFO of the company, tens of thousands of dollars, and Rad can't use the equipment properly.
Triggered.
We triggered. I've been triggered. Look, this concept is, and it's interesting, you know, because I'm looking at the comments here, and Lee Clements, and welcome everyone who's joined us live. For those who do catch the replay on YouTube or are listening to the Sound of Movement podcast, we do record these live, believe it or not, and we stream them live to our UMS Movement Mastermind private Facebook group. You can join the live discussion if you like. It's very fun. Lee Clements has said here, really enjoying these discussions. It's motivating to see how driven you two are. And like I get a funny reaction from a comment like that, because I find it, first and foremost, really delightful and lovely that Lee's giving us that level of support. And she, is it she?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Lee.
Yes, Lee. Please forgive me if I've got that wrong, because we have so many Lees, members of the gym that are Lee, that are male. Lee is motivated by our motivation, which I think is really, really great. But I also feel like it's our God-given right to find something in life that does the same for us. And I feel like until you do, then you're not living your purpose, and you're not living, you're almost not living your potential, you know? Like I don't know how a nice way to say it. To me, it's not living. And I've been at the other end of the spectrum. I was at the other end of the spectrum for a decade, which for me was attempted suicide and chronic drug abuse, and an incapability to socialize on a social level unless I was intoxicated. And so trust me when I say, and I'm not suggesting at all that that's where everyone else is sitting if they're not living as motivated as we are. All I'm trying to say, to use that example, is that I have been at both ends of the spectrum. I've been where I am now, obviously, that's where I'm living now, and that's how I wake up every day. And I've been at the other end of the spectrum, which is like totally unmotivated, no direction, living with no purpose. In fact, living so recklessly that you expect that you're going to die at any moment on any day. And really having no expectation of the future. And that's what I was like in my early 20s. That's what I was like in my late teens. And it wasn't until I found purpose, surprisingly through doing something that I was able to use my creativity and to help other people, and through being a personal trainer, that I changed, and that I started to see that, oh my God, this is really empowering, and it's a much obviously better way to live. And that took overcoming drug addictions and doing things like that, because when you're addicted to drugs and alcohol, there's this veil of, you know, I guess blocking reality and that you live in, you know, that you live behind.
Yeah, but
you never see the light.
But we know firsthand, and this isn't just our opinion, this is what we've been told by several of our mentors. You can't beat an addiction. All you can do is channel it into something else.
That's right.
And so what we successfully did was, both of us, we channeled our heavy drug and alcohol addiction into an addiction for success in what it was that we did.
Yep.
And we've got business mentors that say exactly the same thing. They say they used to be addicted to drugs, and the only way that they were able to beat it was to channel it into business.
Yep.
And if you're that kind of a person, it's funny to hear this, but you've actually got a leg up on everybody else.
Yeah.
If you've got an addictive personality and if you've got addictions that you can't beat. Because when you make the decision, and mark our words, it is a decision that you make. If you make the decision to channel it into something else, no one will be able to compete with your level of tenacity.
Yeah.
No one will. It's unbelievable. You know, I get told by people, you know, you've got such an addictive personality. And I used to really try to defend myself, and now I say, yeah, I do. You're damn right I do.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, you need to become more balanced and you need to this. And I just shake my head and I say, no, I don't.
Yeah.
And I never will. I never will become more balanced. I will always be an addictive person, and that's what makes me who I am.
Yeah.
And what I've learnt to do is to channel my addiction into something that produces a positive result that I can get up every day and feel extremely proud about what I'm doing. And I never had that before.
Yeah.
12 years ago, I was miserable and depressed and lost.
Yeah.
And now I'm driven, successful and happy.
Yeah, and that it's interesting. Clay's saying here that is so awesome. It's rare to come back from heavy addiction, and I think that's one of the problems, Clay, that people get it wrong. As Rad said there, and that's a really poignant thing to point out. It's a bit of an aha moment. If we had a sound effect of the bomb dropping, Richard, I'd get you to drop the bomb right now. This is a knowledge bomb, tribe. You can't abolish an addiction. You can only replace it. It's the same as a habit. You can't abolish a bad habit. You can only replace it with something better, with something more constructive, and I think it's really important that people who do suffer from addictions understand that. I've got a lot of friends who go and pay thousands, tens of thousands of dollars with the best psychologists in the world, and they still battle their addictions. They try to work through their addictions with a professional, which I'm not just crediting, but it doesn't seem to work. They go deep and whenever I talk to them, how's it going? How's your treatment going? How's your therapy going? Oh, it's amazing. I'm doing really well. And then I bump into them 10 years later and they're on the street, absolutely out of it on drugs again, and I'm like, well, how'd that work out for you? You spent thousands with that guy. And, because they're trying to abolish an addiction. They're trying to break it apart and dismantle it, figure out what the trigger was. And there's all these great therapies and reasons why they do it and things like that. I went to therapy for years. My parents paid a fortune for therapy because through my teens and early adult life, I had severe anger management because I was living so recklessly and I was triggered by everything and I was so psychologically unbalanced. I had really bad, what they colloquially term anger management problems. I used to get in fights all the time, and I went to therapy and I just hated it and it just did nothing for me. And it wasn't until I learned to channel all of that energy into something really constructive that my life started to change, And for me, it started with exercise. Exercise was my enabler. I switched to, I focused on my boxing and that really grounded me. And then I started focusing on my body and my bodybuilding. And I just continually worked through iterations of how I exercised because of how it made me feel. And unlike Rad and probably Richard, I have never really drilled down on Richard's why. Rad's why is to be the best. He's very competitive and he wants to be one of the best movers. He wants to be recognized as that. He wants to achieve that. He wants that feeling. For me, it's very different. For me, it is about how I feel. It is very much about the chemical reactions that occur when I exercise, and I don't exercise because I love to exercise. In fact, I don't enjoy to exercise, but I very much love how it makes me feel, and I very much appreciate the physiological impact it has on my body, on my mind, on everything that I do. And I know now as a certainty that I wouldn't survive without exercise, and I wouldn't be successful without exercise.
And I think that this is a really good opportunity to bring this in for a landing and tie it in, to what it is that, the topic of conversation is today, is to how to create a burning desire. Is that, so, we've spoken now about how Yanni and I both exercise for different reasons. And we've also spoken about how we've both used exercise as a means to overcome a negative chronic addiction, something that was very, very bad for us and the people around us. But Yanni's just spoken about how he doesn't exercise because he wants to be the best at it, like what I do. He exercises because it's a means of keeping him on track with everything else that he does. And I think there's probably very few people out there that will ever have the same desire with exercise that I do. I've learned that the hard way. I train people for many, many years expecting them to give the same level of commitment to their training that I give to it. And it took me a long time to recognize that. It took me a long time to even recognize that that's not what Yanni wanted, what you wanted. That took me a long time to wrap my head around, to think, well, he actually doesn't want what I want out of this, so I've got to respect that, you know. And it took Yanni a long time to recognize that we were in this business together for different reasons as well, and he had to give me the space to pursue that, and that was actually an asset to the business. It took us a long time to come to those grips with each other. But for those of you that are listening and for those of you that are watching, it's so important for you to turn this spark that got you to join this group, that got you to listen to this podcast, that got you to start moving, into a burning desire. Without that, you haven't achieved the bottom of the health hierarchy of needs. You haven't even achieved the first step.
Yep.
And you have to recognize that whether you want to be, some people might want to be the most successful in their career that they can have. Some people might want to be the best parent that they can be. And some people might want to be the best mover that they want to be. And other people might be on a spiritual journey to become enlightened.
Yep.
And every single one of those very, very different goals will all be realized quicker and more satisfyingly when you live in a healthy body.
Yeah, well, they all align with why you should be taking your exercise seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they absolutely do. I 100 million % am a believer of that.
Yeah.
Exercise and developing strength, and we all know that true strength cannot be achieved in the absence of flexibility or mobility, so you have to develop both flexibility and strength at the same time. We firmly believe that. It reduces the risk of injury, and you just feel better. Your body feels better, and at the end of the day, that's one of the things that people have as an expectation of when they exercise. When people start exercising, they expect that they're going to feel good.
Yeah.
And so why would you do it if it doesn't make you feel good?
Yeah.
So we know that you have to train flexibility and strength at the same time to feel good, okay? And then at the same time, if you're really doing it for performance, you need to be stimulating your cardiovascular system, because that is just a fundamental element of health. So you'd be silly to not exercise in a way or in a manner that stimulates cardiovascular health or fitness, we'll frame it as, at the same time. So we have this formula, train every day, that's going to develop strength, flexibility, and fitness evenly. That is going to empower anyone, whether it's that you're trying to reach the top of your game in your career, whether it's that you're trying to become the best mover in the world, whether it's that you're trying to become a professional athlete, whether it's that you're trying to lead a tribe through a hard time, whether it's so you're trying to become a leader. You are going to benefit from training every day in a way that develops strength, flexibility, and fitness, you know? And so, yeah, I agree 110%. Like, this is, like, your burning desire can be related to almost anything. Like, this is where people fall over. They think, oh, well, I don't have a burning desire to look like a figure model or to look like I could grace the cover of a Men's Health magazine. That's totally fine. You know, you may not have a desire to become an athlete. Not many people do. Being an athlete is a lonely journey until you're on the top. And even then, a lot of athletes say it's a very empty existence, you know, because you often don't earn a lot of money and you're dedicated to your sport. So yes, I get it. Not everyone wants to be an athlete, you know, but there is something there that everybody wants.
Yeah.
There is something.
You know, I reckon... correct me if I'm wrong, but I reckon there's probably at the top, like in the three main categories that people would that people would fit into for the reasons as to why that exercise is. A lot of people would want it to make them a better person, you know, to increase their experience on this planet, you know, to enjoy life on a better way. And some of those people might be on a spiritual pursuit. Well, about 1,500 years ago, there was a monk from India that traveled to China. Depends who you speak to. His name was either Dharmo or Bodhidharma. And he started teaching people yoga and meditation for the pursuit of spirituality. And after years and years and years of seeing how frail their bodies became, he started to create exercises based on looking at the way the animals moved around him, and the Shaolin Temple was born. So thousands of years ago, some of the most spiritually enlightened people recognized that you cannot live your life to the fullest with only spiritual enlightenment and without being physically capable as well. Okay? In the same way, the authors of Extreme Ownership, who are business coaches, talk about the start of your day to be successful in business begins with exercise. So you're hearing it from some of the most successful business and, wellness coaches around the world. And if your goal is to be the best parent you can be, what's one of the greatest things that any parent wants? They want a healthy mindset for their children. They don't want their children to grow up to be unhealthy. And the only way you're ever really going to do that is to lead by example. If you're somebody that's overweight, that doesn't value exercise or eating healthy at all, and you try and tell your kids to live their life differently, good luck.
Yeah, that's right.
Good luck.
Absolutely.
So all of these things, all of these big reasons as to why people would want to why people would want to enhance their lives and their reasons for being, spiritual enlightenment or pursuit of self-development, career success or family success, they're all going to be enhanced with this. And so this whole process of how to turn your spark into a burning desire, this is a process, and it is something that you work on daily, just like you do exercise. Yanni and I, even at the level that we're at, this is not something that we did 10 years ago and we've left it behind. It's something that we still continue to work on.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just looking at some of the comments here because there's a lot of great engagement and feedback, and people are really sharing and opening up, which I love.
Should we jump into some of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I just cannot stress to you how much, and even the more we talk about it, the more convinced I am of how much exercise will benefit everybody. But you have to find your burning desire, your reason why. You can't just choose. And pro tip for everybody out there: a burning desire is not to look better in your swimsuit. That's a spark. That's the spark of motivation that gets you moving forward in the right direction, but it's not your burning desire. Your burning desire is deeper than that. You have to drill deeper than that superficial spark. And it's totally okay that is one of your drivers, one of your reasons. I absolutely am driven by the fact that I want to have an impressive physique. I want people, when my shirt comes off, to go, whoa, look at this dude. He's 40 years old and he's got 2 young kids and a business, 3 businesses and he's, look at him and look at how much he's leading by example. I want my children to think that their father is one of the strongest people they know. I want them to grow up, my boys to grow up with that being a value. Strength, flexibility, health being a value, a strong value of theirs, Yep. And so, I want to lead by example. But
Sharon's saying here, Sharon Lynn said something quite valuable. She's saying sometimes just do things is important. It can take a long time to figure out what you want. Don't just sit on it to figure out, move it while you're figuring it out. That is so true, Sharon. So many people say, but I don't know where to get started because I don't know what my desire is. Well, most people don't when they get started. And that's going to tie into what Steve's saying that we'll read in just a sec. But at the backbone of success is health. So even if you don't know what it is that you want to do, you need to do something. You need to put your energy into something that's going to produce a result. And there's very little that compares to having a really healthy body and a good habit around exercise that will translate to anything that anybody needs. Like we all know now that heart disease and heart-related cardiovascular disease is the biggest killer in the world. And there's 2 backbones to preventing that. It's eating healthy and exercising. So if you want to live longer, you exercise. Like it's as simple as that. And if you're on this earth thinking to yourself, I don't care, I'm just going to burn out.
Well, problem is that doesn't stimulate. That doesn't drive people. Yeah. People only want to live longer when they're dying.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's exactly just the way we're built. Yeah. So you have to find something deeper. Now, here's a key that you will understand, that you will learn. Your burning desire is going to change. It's going to shift. The priorities in your life shift lots as you become more mature. As you mature, your burning desire will too, and that's totally fine. So don't fixate on something or freak out because you can't drill it down right now. Whatever your burning desire is now, use that, and you might find down the track that was only really just a little spark of motivation, and that it
so
evolves. What your burning desire is, what drives you to succeed at the highest levels, is going to evolve as much as your body does, along the journey. So don't fixate on fearing the fact that you haven't found it yet, or this or that, exactly like what Sharon suggested here. It is so important that you understand that your burning desire is not something that you find and then it's with you for the rest of your life. Maybe for some people it is. For me, certainly not. What drives me has evolved as much as I have over the years, and I think that you're going to find that happens for you too.
Yeah, guaranteed. It's and it's the same with me. Things continue to evolve. Things continue to change. Just recently, I've been reminded again of just how important it is to me that I, achieve a level of success with my movement practice that very few do. It's tied into everything that I do, and it's for me it's a very, very rewarding journey. But geez, it took me a while to figure that out. When I joined the army, I actually, just for those of you that don't know, I joined the army when I was 30. And a part of the reason that I joined the army was because my Kung Fu teacher pulled me aside within a year or two, or it was probably within a year that I joined the army. And he said to me something that stuck with me. He said, "Rad, what are you doing here?" And I asked him what he meant. And he said, "Well, you've been coming here for 10 years and, you turn up, but you're not really getting better." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you're not getting better. You haven't gotten better in the last couple of years. You've hit that level where to get better, you need to really work hard. And you're not doing it. You're just turning up." And I was quite confronted by it. And he said, "You either need to decide that you're going to do this and put the effort in, or go and do something else. Because the hours that you spend here every day, you could be putting that energy into something that makes you money or something else, And he advised me. He said, "I think you should stop training for 6 months at least. Go away, do something, figure out if this is what you want to do." And shortly after that, I joined the army. And I joined the army for many reasons. But one of the reasons, and what relates to what we're talking about today, is that I wanted to figure out if I still had it in me and wanted to do what I needed to do to get to the next level with martial arts. And what I decided when I was away, I decided, yes, I do want to do this. It is that important to me to live in that kind of a body, and to have that level of success. But then what led to the UMS was that when I came back and I started the business with Yanni, and I was training very hard back then. I was doing Kung Fu a couple of hours every day, and you can ask Richard and Yanni the level of dedication that I had of just doing the same things over and over again. But what got me to change to start pursuing calisthenics, which led to the UMS, is that I recognized that despite my best efforts, I would almost certainly never create financial wealth with martial arts. I just missed the boat. I didn't start early enough to ever be able to go and compete and win tournaments, which would make a name, that would create a school. And I was running a gym. I wasn't running a martial arts school. And that's when I decided to transfer that same energy and that same drive into something that I felt would be more financially viable, which was calisthenics. And so some people say to me, "Oh, but I don't enjoy doing this so much." Well, Yanni didn't enjoy physical training as much as I did, but he found a way to turn it into something successful. And I certainly didn't enjoy weightlifting and exercise like Yanni and Richard did, but I found a way to become passionate about it and turn it into success.
I spent, sorry to cut you off, but I spent the first 2 decades of my life 100 million% convinced that I was going to be an artist, that I was going to be an illustrator or a graphic designer or some form of an artist. I was going to learn to monetize the skills that my parents had cultivated in me. I had a makeup artist as a mother and a photographer, a professional photographer as a father, a very creative family. And I used to do, everything I did was related to the arts, to drawing, to illustrating, to building woodworking, to the point where throughout school I just completely switched off from English, maths, science, everything. Because there wasn't an ounce of me that thought that I wasn't going to grow up and be an artist. And then when I hit the real world, the workforce, my first job was in advertising, in the creative side of a very, very big advertising agency, now called YRGP, Young and Rubicam, George Patterson Bates, or something like that. They merged. Back then it was Young and Rubicam, and I worked there for years. And then I just went through different positions trying to find my feet, trying to become a creative, and I realized that it just wasn't for me. It wasn't something that I would be able to monetize easily, and create a business around. And I then worked as a freelance illustrator and all this sort of stuff. Now, you would think, like, how has this guy ended up as CFO of a company? And that I realized really quickly after going back and doing mechanical engineering and trying something totally different and studying for 4 or 5 years, I realized really quickly that I could apply my creativity to building a business. And that's been fueling my burning desire. And my personal purpose, I found, because of the turmoil I went through with mental disease and depression, is to help empower other people. So if I can align my burning desire to become successful in business with helping other people, then I'm winning. And that's what we've done to build this business, So for those of you out there who are like thinking, geez, how do I apply this to myself and my life? There is so much evolution that can come in your life, and you may not be anywhere near finding what's going to really fuel you, at this stage in your life, but there is so much room to evolve and to grow and to learn. And,
man,
and that sort of thing.
Steve's analogy here, Richie, can you bring
Yeah,
that
I
up?
love this, yeah.
I've never heard this before, but I absolutely love it. He said, the analogy is you cannot steer a stationary vehicle, but once it's moving, you can steer it and change direction. That is so true, and it's such a great analogy. You just have to get moving, and you just have to create some momentum. And once you've created that momentum, you can start to change direction. You can start to say, I don't like the direction I'm going in here, but I'm going to go in that direction and that direction. And my Kung Fu teacher used to say the same thing to me. He used to say, look, because I used to always ask him these questions, how do I get to here and how do I get to there with my training? And he said, you don't need to worry about that now. All you need to do is do the work. And you're at point A and you want to get to point B, and you know what point B looks like because you can see the people there. But if you just start doing the work, then what happens is, my job as a teacher is, he used to always say this to me, he'd say it's like walking on a footpath, and I'm watching you walk the footpath. And if I see that you start walking on the road, I'm going to come over and give you a tap on the shoulder and show you where the footpath is again. But if you're just standing still, nothing's going to change, and that's what happens.
Yeah, there's something here. Ruth Hausman is saying, isn't it so often true that during the darkest moments that we must focus to see the light? Now, I want to say something here, because I certainly had my turning point in the most severe adversity, and Rad kind of had the same experience. I literally tried to take my own life because I was suffering such severe depression. And that was the turning point for me, where I decided I would try to do things differently and see if I could discover more meaning and purpose in life going forward. And it was after a really quite deep and full-on conversation with my parents that convinced me to do that. But what I would like to say, and a lot of people have that awakening, a lot of people have to hit rock bottom before they have an awakening and change their life. I want to say you do not have to do that. You do not have to hit rock bottom to start thinking about this stuff. The only difference is that someone has waited for a trigger that's triggered them to start thinking about this stuff. But you guys out there, you can just decide to start thinking like that. You don't have to hit rock bottom to be triggered, And I think that's something that, unfortunately, a lot of people wait for. They wait for this, wake-up call, which often kills them. So a lot of people don't survive the wake-up call, which is really unfortunate. And I think that You don't have to wait to the doctor's appointment where they tell you that you've got cancer, or the suicide attempt that doesn't work, or being homeless in Rad's case and joining the army, the military, to try and turn his life around. You don't have to wait for such an abrupt wake-up call. You can just make a choice that you're going to live with purpose, and you're going to find your purpose, whatever that might be, and you're going to work towards it, And it starts with, as Steve says here, getting some momentum, because you can't steer a stationary vehicle. And we believe the lowest hanging fruit is to start exercising. It's the easiest habit to create, and it tends to affect everything else in your life.
I can tell you right now that if I had access to teachers like us now that were giving me the information that we're giving out right now, I wouldn't have needed to hit rock bottom, because one of the issues that I found with martial arts, those were the teachers that I was looking for. And at least in traditional Kung Fu, the way that they teach you is a real hardball way. It's like the way that people have been taught for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years, where they basically just give you a tiny bit of instruction and they see who rises to the challenge.
Yeah.
And I can see that would have worked before the times of media, I guess, like people,
it was less influence. Life was less influential.
Yeah, that's right. And the Bruce Lees of the era, the people that got the small lessons and just went, yeah, I'm going to do it. But I never saw anybody in my school really rise to that challenge.
What you also don't know is how many of those people that you aspire to actually hit rock bottom.
Yeah, you don't exactly.
You don't know
exactly.
that.
Yeah, you don't. But
I know that Bruce Lee's story is that he got into some serious legal trouble and had to leave his country and move to America, migrate to America. It happened on a whim, and
he was definitely
going to be thrown in jail otherwise.
Person,
yeah.
He was definitely an addictive person.
So he was addicted to getting in street fights and things like that, Yep. You never know. You don't know. The people that we aspire to, who knows whether they didn't actually hit rock bottom at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you're listening to this and you want to know, okay, well, what's the next action step? How do I do something with this? Well, what I can tell you is that we are going to be turning all of this into a proper course that you can do, but that is going to take us a little bit of work. So until that happens, we're going to be, just talking through it and getting you guys started. But the first thing that you need to do, the very first thing, is that you need to actually start putting some thought to this. That's the first thing. It's like Yanni says all the time. If it's not the first thing that you think about every morning and the last thing you think about every night, then your desire to do something isn't strong enough to get you to the high level. Okay, and a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I'm fine where I am. I'm happy." Good for you. If you're happy with where you are, then that's great. And I really take my hat off to you. If you're comfortable and you're honestly happy, then good. You don't need these lessons. But challenge yourself. Ask yourself if you're really happy. Ask yourself if you feel that you're on track to your success and to your dreams. And if you're not, then the first thing you need to do is to create a burning desire. And the way to do that, a way to get started, is to just start thinking about what it is that you really want.
Yep.
And start creating more clarity. And write down what you think you want, and then read it every day. That's what affirmations are.
Start making it the first and last thing you think about every day.
That's right.
That's like the key, like little insight, pro tip for the hot players. You can train yourself to think about it first thing in the morning and last thing at night. And that's what I do with my affirmations. When I say if it's not the first and last thing you think about every day, then your efforts will be futile. I really mean that. And many of us don't. Many of us don't start just by thinking about the things we want to achieve in life the most first and last every day. But you can train yourself to do so. And until you do, I'm telling you now, you're not going to achieve what you're trying to achieve at the levels that you're to meet your expectations. I guarantee it. It has to be a burning desire, and that's how you create a burning desire. You start thinking about it more.
Yeah.
You start working on it, and you do. It doesn't matter if you don't know the path just yet. The path, as Steve says, will unfold in front of you. It's like Steve Jobs' great commemorative speech he says, you never know the path. You only know looking back when you connect the dots.
Yeah. You can't connect the dots when you look forward, but when you look back,
when you
can.
look back, you can connect the dots and see that there was a direct path to where you've got. You know, you just need to practice a bit of faith, but you have to start by thinking about, okay, this is what I'm going to do. You know. All right, guys, that's about all we've got time for. We've got to bring this in for a landing. If you like this style of content, then strap yourself in, because we're going to be going deeper here. This is an area of what Rad and I and Richard are doing that we're really going to dial in. Most importantly, going deep into that hierarchy of health, mastery, physique, nutrition, movement, and then starting with motivation or the burning desire. I think this is an area that a lot of you guys are really going to benefit from. So yeah, we got a lot of great feedback going in the live discussion for all of you listening on the podcast. We hope that you are enjoying it. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Big shout out to everyone who watches the replay on YouTube. Get yourself over, guys, to the UMS Movement Mastermind, even if just to watch the live recording, because it's kind of funny. You guys see a more polished version of this when it hits YouTube and the podcast, usually. You can see all our stuff ups and misbehavior if you catch it live. All right, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Will we not? No,
we're going to be on the UMS online coaching group tomorrow, talking about some higher level stuff. Then we're going to be on the Unity Gym Tribe Facebook page on Thursday, and then we'll be back here on Friday. For
Physio Friday. And guys, oh my God, get ready for one of the biggest programs we've ever launched, one of the most valuable programs we've ever launched. Doesn't matter what you're trying to do in life, your spine is everything. Healthy spine is a healthy body. You're only as old as your spine. And as we like to say, it is Spine Day every day. And we're releasing our Spinal Mobility Masterclass on Friday.
That's right.
How exciting is that?
Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again soon.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, that's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's
far.
the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.